31 days, 31 seeds, encouraging lives by sowing seeds of hope and determination. Day 17. Yes, even leprechauns have boundaries. We're always talking about that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but then you hear the stories that you don't want to touch that leprechaun's pot of gold. He has boundaries. He doesn't want you touching that pot of gold. That is his pot of gold. In life, we need boundaries. I will liken it to having boundaries for your dog. Some people buy an electric dog fence that you cannot see, and they wear that little shock collar. And other people put up actual fences, like a hurricane fence or a wood fence. Now, the people who have the shock collar, the reason for that fence is to keep their dog in. So that boundary is to keep their own animal inside. Because other dogs can come right on in. They don't have a collar on. My dog, I decided, we have a lot of rogue dogs that run the neighborhood, and he would do well on an electric collar, but I don't want the other dogs in my yard. So I put up a big fence, which is keeping him in, and it's keeping other rogue dogs out. So there are many different reasons for putting up boundaries. Are you able to put up boundaries in your life? I'm sure if you're anything like me, a human being, there's been many times in your life that someone has stepped over boundaries that they did not realize you had because you'd never told them that you had boundaries. And then when they step over those boundaries, all of a sudden you're feeling things. We're back to the feelings of anger or upset or disregard. But at the end of the day, were our boundaries stated properly? Are our boundaries an electric shock collar that limits us from doing things? Or are boundaries a gateway where someone comes up to the gate, like in a private estate, and you have to have a reason to get in? There has to be good cause to get in, because you're not getting through that gate if you're going to intend havoc or chaos, which is what we feel like sometimes when people cross our boundaries. Think to yourself, are you wanting to keep things out? Are you wanting to keep things in? Are you wanting to do both? And as the old saying goes, what we allow persists. And that truly means that if we're feeling someone is treating us badly, then at some point, as they say, once shame on you, twice shame on me. If this is a repetitive behavior that you're experiencing, the first time that it happened, right, okay. But if you express then boundaries and it continues to happen, the next time it's shame on you. You're not holding up proper boundaries. You're not putting the fence up where it needs to be. Boundaries can be very healthy, but having boundaries can be akin to learning anything new, which can be very awkward if you're not good at putting up boundaries and having boundaries. I know when I first started to learn this, because I used to be a real pushover, and guess what? The predators who want to take advantage of you and your kind heart, they can see you coming. And I learned this because one of them said it to me. He was kind enough to say, you express all the signs of someone that I know if I ask for something, you would just give it to me. I can see it in you. Well, we need to create healthy boundaries that we are not seen as that person. And when we start to practice those boundaries, it feels really awkward. And one word that kept coming to my mind was mean. We feel mean. But it's really odd. Why do we feel mean for defending ourselves if someone's trying to take advantage of us? Do you think that's odd? I had to learn this one myself. I decided, regardless of how I felt about it, it was good to have healthy boundaries. I started to practice having boundaries, and it was very awkward. Like anything learning new. If you're into a sport, if you play a musical instrument, I mean, anything that you've done in life that was brand new for you, was it not awkward the first time you tried it? Horseback riding, having proper posture, your feet tipped in. I kept wanting my feet to flare out. Shooting a gun is very awkward. Holding on to a cue stick for billiards can feel very awkward. Swimming, if you've never swam before, can feel terrifying. There's just so many things. We have to think then with boundaries. A lot of things is it's verbiage. A lot of people will say things. Okay, let's say you have a dream. You have something you really want to accomplish, and you have this little fire burning in your heart about it. But yet someone else tells you, no, that's not for you. You wouldn't do well at that. Does that change your mind then? Do you not pursue it? I have a really good friend who said he actually moved out of the country because his parents wanted him to pursue an industry that he didn't want to work in. So instead of dealing with them over that, he literally moved to another country. And now he's wondering, was that a good idea? Should I have done that? When what he could have done was said, oh, I understand, Mom and Dad, that this is what you would like for me, but this is what I want to do. This is what makes me feel alive and full of passion. Do it. So good boundaries are when somebody tells you that you cannot do something that you truly want to do and you truly want to try. And I don't care if if you want to be a sand sculptor and if you've never touched a lick of sand in your life and someone tells you, oh my gosh, you were born in the mountains. You wouldn't know sand if you looked at it. Who cares? Go right on out to that beach and build your sand castle. That's what I have to say. Get the chainsaw out in a big block of ice and cut something beautiful. Do it. Words are words. The only time they actually mean anything is when you allow them to, when you act on those words. So proper boundaries are deciding what are the voices telling you, whether it's someone else's voice or the voice in your own head, because we can be conditioned like Pavlov's dog, and when we hear it and we hear it and we hear it, we start to believe it. I always like to compare it to something that's happened in my life. When I was a little girl, I'll call him, my mother stayed married to my father, so I don't want to be insulting by calling him my biological father, but in no way was he ever truly a dad to me. And when I would wake up as a little girl in the morning, 8, 9 years old, and come out of my bedroom to go into the restroom to prepare for school, he would run up to me, he would know I'm coming out of the room, and he would knock on my head all the way down the hallway and tell me how dumb and ugly I was. Every morning. So the majority of my life through elementary school and a tad into high school before I broke loose, I was convinced that I was dumb and ugly. There you go. So I was told every day, voices, voices, voices. Until you can stop the voices, that became my voice. I'm dumb and ugly, right? But then I learned to stop the voices and to stop the voice and say, wait a minute, is it true? Is that true? I've had a lot of people tell me how beautiful I am. Are they lying to me? And when anyone would say to me, you're so beautiful, I never believed them. Never believed them until now that I've gotten older and I'm going to own that I'm beautiful. And I think everyone's beautiful because what is beauty? It's not the Vogue magazine, I'll tell you that. My father would say that to me incessantly and I started to believe it. So think about the things. What are the voices telling you? And are they true? Do they connect and equal to what you want to do in life? What your dream is? What you feel? And if they don't, then put a boundary up. Those voices are no longer allowed into your heart, to your soul, or your psyche. You make a decision. It's hard at first. It's awkward at first. It is. But just practice, practice, practice. If you get frustrated, practice some more. The irony is now that I'm so far out of practicing this, because I'm still practicing every seed I'm giving you. Believe me, I am no way perfect. But the cool thing is after a while you start to see the growth of this. And some of these seeds in my life have turned into such gorgeous shrubs that I have to chuckle when the instances happen to me now. They're not triggering me. So these seeds, if you practice them, can truly help you become everything that you want to be. Because I truly believe that you are capable, you are beautiful, you are strong, you can accomplish great things. You have to believe it. And boundaries are healthy. They're not a negative thing. They're not mean. Actually, they're the best and most gracious thing you can do for yourself and other people. Because when you have healthy boundaries and those people are not allowed to cross them, then the innocent ones who do accidentally cross that boundary, not meaning anything, won't have to have the emotional situation that may occur. Does that make sense? So for day 17, Seed 17, I want you to think about your life, think about the voices in your head, and think about what you want the voices to say to you, that you can do this. Do it, try it, live your best life. Seed 17, start putting some fence posts in and build some good boundaries for yourself so you can begin to thrive. Because I truly do love you, every one of you, and I want you to love yourself and have your best life. I will see you tomorrow for Seed 18.